Hi, I'm Mina.
And I'm Yules.
Thanks for tuning in to Artificially Informed.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive, the place where we take the just dizzying speed of global change, this absolute mountain of information, and try to distill it down into the crucial, memorable knowledge you need.
And today, we really do have a stack that covers the entire spectrum. It's a snapshot of a world that is just moving at breakneck speed.
It really is. I mean, we're looking at everything from the microscopic structures of a cell all the way out to, the monumental scale of deep space.
All while trying to navigate the very fraught, very shifting landscape of global politics.
Think about the sheer contrast we're covering. In the tech sector, we're tracking capital flows that are just so enormous.
Oh, enormous is the word. One startup focused entirely on artificial intelligence just secured a staggering $20 billion in Series E funding.
$20 billion.
Just an almost incomprehensible level of investment.
In one stroke. And then, in the same breath, we're seeing the literal demolition of pieces of American space history.
Right, those facilities in Alabama that helped launch the Saturn rockets and the space shuttle.
They're being torn down, just torn down to make way for modernization. It perfectly captures that dizzying contrast, doesn't it?
It does. The past is being cleared away for a future that's, frankly, accelerating faster than our ability to regulate it.
So our mission today, then, is clarity.
We're here to filter out the noise, connect some of the dots for you. We have major segments on science, space, and technology.
But we're also going to take a really extensive deep dive into the turbulent geopolitical situation around Venezuela.
That's a story with huge economic and climate implications.
Absolutely. And we'll get into the complex shifts happening in public health policy as well.
So we've got a lot of ground to cover.
We do. So here's how we'll structure it for you. We're starting with that high-octane world of technology, investment, and all the ethical friction that comes with it.
From there, we will literally pivot to the cosmos. Thanks to the James Webb Space Telescope, or JWST. We'll be looking at astronomical platypuses and the remnants of cosmic dust.
I love that name, Astronomical Platypus. Then we land back on Earth to navigate that fraught political chessboard of the Americas and beyond.
Before finishing up with some truly surprising revelations about our own biology and the hidden costs of both life and safety.
It's a huge scope. We're spanning billions of years and billions of dollars. But stick with us because this is where it gets really interesting.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's begin where the money is flowing the fastest. The artificial intelligence gold rush.
I mean, you can't even call it a rush anymore. It's a stampede.
It is. And our first major data point is it's staggering. Elon Musk's AI startup, XAI, has just secured a massive $20 billion in Series E funding.
This isn't just a big round of funding.
No.
This is a declaration of intent in the AI race.
A $20 billion declaration.
It absolutely is. I mean, when you look at the landscape, securing that kind of capital immediately solidifies XAI's position as a, top-tier contender against the established giants.
We're talking OpenAI, Google DeepMind.
Exactly. The valuation is enormous, and what's really critical here is who is supporting it.
Right. The funding was heavily bolstered by investors like NVIDIA. That feels like a very strategic move.
It's more than strategic. It's a profound endorsement. I mean, think about it. NVIDIA is the current backbone of all AI development.
They make the chips, the GPUs.
They supply the specialized hardware, the GPUs, that handle the intense computational demands of training and running these large language models. So their decision to invest heavily in XAI,
it signals a deep confidence.
A deep confidence in XAI's technological trajectory and their strategy, particularly around the Grok chatbot and its integration into the X platform.
Which gives them that unique, real-time data feedback loop, something OpenAI just doesn't have access to in the same way.
Exactly. It also just ratchets up the competitive pressure. This isn't just about building a good product anymore.
No, it's about commanding the infrastructure.
Right. It's about acquiring vast server farms, data centers, and, of course, the specialized chips from your investors.
And it's not only the big, well-known tech titans raising this kind of capital.
Not at all. We've seen incredible, almost unbelievable speed from companies that are focusing on the infrastructure around AI.
Like El Marina, a spinoff from the University of California, Berkeley.
Only 4 months. 4 months after launching its product, it had reached a $1.7 billion valuation, instantly making it a unicorn.
A $1.7 billion valuation in 4 months. That is That is truly a staggering pace.
Yeah.
So what exactly are they doing that makes them so valuable so fast?
Well, what's fascinating here is that El Marina isn't building a rival chatbot.
Okay.
They're pioneering AI benchmarking and comprehensive model evaluation,
So in an industry where these large language models are often called black boxes,
where we don't always understand why they give the answers they do.
the need for reliable, standardized, and, transparent testing is paramount.
Exactly. They are the trusted third party. They're building the standards by which we judge the quality and, critically, the safety of all these new models.
So they're building the arena for the models to fight in, so to speak.
That's a great way to put it. El Marina is a community-driven space where developers, including folks from OpenAI and Google DeepMind, can test and refine their models against empirical metrics and user feedback.
So it serves a dual function.
It does. It's a robust benchmarking community, and it's a marketplace for showcasing and testing pre-release models. The total funding round, which led to this valuation, it just confirms that investors view this kind of evaluative rigor as the crucial choke point for the safe and effective development of generative AI.
So El Marina isn't making the faster AI engine. They're building the dynamometer and the track to make sure that engine is safe and effective before it hits the road.
That's the real infrastructure play. Absolutely. The market is recognizing that without reliable evaluation, innovation just stalls. It stalls due to a lack of trust and, potential regulatory backlash.
Speaking of rapid innovation, the Consumer Electronics Show, CES 2026, was basically ground zero for the next wave of hardware designed to push AI integration into our daily lives.
The pervasive theme this year was definitely AI everywhere, and it was often driven by pretty significant advances in silicon.
Intel, for example, they're introducing their Panther Lake microprocessor as part of the Core Ultra Series 3.
And you mentioned they are utilizing the advanced 18A process technology.
I did. Now, for our listener who might not follow the nuances of chip manufacturing, why is that 18A process such a significant detail for high-performance AI?
That's a great question. In chip manufacturing, the A stands for angstrom. It's a unit of measurement for the size of the transistor gates,
And the smaller the gate, the more transistors you can pack onto a chip.
which leads to massive improvements in power efficiency and performance. The 18A process is Intel's proprietary next-generation manufacturing technology. It essentially allows them to create chips that are smaller, faster, and require less energy for complex AI calculations.
So this is the leap that enables them to push AI workloads directly onto consumer devices rather than relying solely on the cloud.
Exactly. It means faster on-device AI for things like image processing and running large models locally.
And meanwhile, their rival, Advanced Micro Devices, or AMD, is also broadening its Ryzen AI capabilities.
Correct. AMD is really focused on creating a robust ecosystem for machine learning applications. They often work closely with software developers to optimize their chips for various AI tasks, which, ensures a competitive environment.
But the most headline-grabbing push probably came from NVIDIA.
Leveraging their GPU dominance, absolutely. NVIDIA is truly moving beyond just graphics cards. They are setting new industry standards by focusing on enhanced self-driving technologies and the most futuristic application.
The accelerated development of humanoid robots.
That's the one. Their strategy is to offer full-stack AI solutions. They provide not just the hardware, but the software platforms and development environments necessary for these highly complex tasks.
So they're trying to define what the next generation of applications will look like.
They are, leveraging their enormous computational power to enhance pretty much every user experience.
And we also saw some interesting new applications, like Lenovo's Kyra platform, which is a key tie-up with NVIDIA, and their concept AI glasses.
It all shows the rapid consumerization of AI. It reflects a very clear consumer demand for immediate interconnectivity and hyper-personalization, all orchestrated by sophisticated AI algorithms running on these new, powerful chips.
But I found Intel's pivot into the handheld gaming market particularly interesting.
It's a big move.
A huge move. They're officially announcing dedicated chips that leverage that Panther Lake architecture to compete directly with existing successful portable gaming platforms.
That is a massive strategic shift for them. Intel has traditionally focused on desktop, laptop, and server markets.
Right.
Entering the handheld sector signals their intent to redefine their engagement in the entire gaming ecosystem. It's a competitive challenge that ultimately benefits consumers by spurring innovation in performance and battery life in portable devices.
It's great for the gamer, for sure. But with all this digital sophistication accelerating at such a pace, we have to talk about the inevitable ethical friction.
The dark side.
The dark side. The speed of innovation is constantly outpacing the ability of our legal and regulatory systems to keep up, and it's leading to a very noticeable dark side of digital abuse.
And the single biggest point of concern right now, across pretty much all major news outlets, is deepfakes.
The sheer severity of concerns regarding consent, privacy, and the exploitation of vulnerable populations, especially women and children, is immense.
This technology can alter reality almost instantly. It can create highly convincing, fraudulent content that's it's indistinguishable from the real thing.
And the legal framework is playing catch-up. Our reports emphasize the urgent need for robust international laws to manage and mitigate this misuse before it completely erodes trust in all visual evidence.
And this erosion of trust isn't just theoretical. We're seeing it manifest in real-world economic and social damage.
Like that viral incident recently.
A highly sophisticated Reddit post that alleged widespread systemic fraud against major food delivery apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats.
It claimed drivers were being systematically exploited and customers were being overcharged.
And that kind of story can cause real economic disruption.
Instantly.
Exactly. Subsequent investigations strongly indicated that the post was highly sophisticated and likely fabricated using generative artificial intelligence.
So even though both companies vehemently denied the specific allegations,
the damage was already done. This incident perfectly illustrates the profound real-world impact of sophisticated AI-generated misinformation. It can create widespread outrage or panic before any authoritative fact check can even be conducted.
It's the blurring of the line between legitimate whistleblowing and just manufactured outrage, driven by an algorithm designed solely to provoke a reaction.
And speaking of abuse, the legal system is starting to make some headway against consumer-grade spyware.
Often called Stalkerware.
Right. We covered the case of Brian Fleming, the founder of Pack Tattletale, who pleaded guilty to hacking and advertising surveillance software.
Now that brings up a fascinating legal and ethical dilemma. Stalkerware allows individuals, often partners or abusers, to monitor devices without the user's knowledge. It's a profound privacy invasion.
It is.
So why is the legal framework lagging so far behind this specific technology?
Well, the difficulty really lies in classification. Traditional laws target hacking as unauthorized access to a network or system. But Stalkerware is often marketed and sold as a legitimate parental control or employee monitoring tool.
So the legal system struggles because the buyer often has physical access to the device and installs the software themselves.
Which blurs the line between hacking and what the law might view as authorized monitoring.
So the Pack Tattletale conviction is a critical step.
It really is, because it addresses the intent and the advertising of the product, recognizing that it facilitates domestic abuse and privacy invasion. And that's something that may require entirely new legislation rather than just relying on existing hacking laws.
The vulnerability of specific populations, particularly children, is now driving political action.
And California, which is often a leader in technology regulation, is stepping up.
Senator Padilla has proposed a bill that aims to halt the sale of children's toys equipped with AI chatbots until comprehensive safety regulations are firmly in place.
And the concerns raised by child development experts are extremely serious. They focus not just on privacy protection, like what data are these toys collecting,
Right.
but also on the need for age-appropriate interactions and the potential developmental impact of early AI exposure on children's mental health and their ability to develop authentic, complex social skills.
It's an essential pause button. We have to ensure that the interactions these children have are developmentally sound, not just digitally convenient.
And the political will is there. An Ipsos poll cited in the material shows extremely strong public support for AI regulation, particularly when it comes to safeguarding children.
So California is positioning itself to establish vital safety standards.
Standards that could become national or even international benchmarks for vulnerable populations.
We've talked a lot about the intangible digital costs of this boom, the ethical friction, the misinformation. But let's pivot sharply to the physical cost of our digital life.
E-waste.
E-waste. This is the massive, often ignored environmental footprint of the tech industry.
It's a looming sustainability crisis. The reports project staggering numbers, specifically related to wearable health devices, things like smartwatches, fitness trackers, and those disposable glucose patches.
So how significant is this problem going to be?
Well, wearable health devices alone are predicted to generate 1 million tons of e-waste by the year 2050.
1 million tons, just from wearables.
Just from wearables. This surge is driven by high production volumes, potentially hitting nearly 2 billion units annually, and very short life cycles.
And the carbon footprint.
Critically, the production and disposal of these devices would result in 3.4 million metric tons of CO2 equivalent emissions annually.
Wow. That's a massive environmental impact just from trying to track our steps and heart rate.
And the core issue remains the same as with all electronics: our inability to efficiently recycle.
That number is always shocking.
It is. Globally, only about 17% of electronic waste is properly recycled. The rest just ends up in landfills, leaching toxic materials into the environment and wasting valuable rare earth metals.
So the reports are urging immediate action.
Towards implementing circular economy practices, designing devices for durability, repairability, and responsible disposal through certified recyclers.
It compels us to move past the simple act of purchase and think about the entire life cycle. A necessary but heavy reminder that every piece of high-tech innovation, no matter how helpful, has a substantial physical shadow.
A very substantial shadow.
Okay, since we are talking about shadows and remnants, let's execute that pivot we promised and look up, way, way up to the monumental scale of the universe, courtesy of the James Webb Space Telescope, NASA's JWST.
You know, every fresh batch of data from the JWST seems to just throw out the old cosmological textbooks.
It really does. The speed at which it's challenging our assumptions about the early universe is just breathtaking.
It's phenomenal.
Our reports detail a truly fascinating discovery led by astronomers at the University of Missouri: the identification of a unique population of compact, point-like galaxies that they've affectionately dubbed astronomy's platypus.
It's a great nickname because it perfectly conveys the strangeness of the discovery. These galaxies existed in the cosmic dawn about 12 to 12.6 billion years ago.
So very early.
Very early. And they just defy conventional categorization. They're visually compact and point-like, which usually suggests a quasar.
The quasar being a super bright, active galactic nucleus powered by a black hole.
Exactly. But they don't behave like quasars.
How so?
They have a distinct spectral signature that differentiates them from typical quasars.
Yeah.
Yet they also don't possess the classic, sprawling characteristics of star-forming galaxies that we would expect at that age.
So they're a mashup of features.
A hybrid, like a duck-billed egg-laying mammal. They simply shouldn't exist, according to our established models of early galaxy formation.
So finding this platypus forces a massive reinvestigation into the processes that preceded the chaotic mergers and eventual large-scale structures we observe later in the universe.
It suggests there was a much wider and quicker range of evolutionary pathways available in the first billion years after the Big Bang than we previously accounted for. It completely opens the door to new theories on how mass accumulated in the earliest cosmic structures.
And the JWST is challenging our ideas not just about massive structures, but about the very tiny fundamental building blocks of life in the early universe.
Cosmic dust.
Cosmic dust. We're talking about the dwarf galaxy Sextans A, about 4 million light years away. JWST detected complex materials there, metallic iron dust and silicon carbide. Why is that revelation so surprising?
Well, the surprise lies in Sextra A's composition. It's classified as a low metallicity galaxy.
Meaning it has only about 3 to 7% of the metal content of our own sun.
Right. And in astrophysics, metals refers to any element heavier than helium. Standard theory suggested that in such environments, the conditions just weren't right for stars to efficiently create and expel solid dust grains containing these heavier elements.
So finding metallic iron and silicon carbide, which require complex stellar processes to form, it challenges the idea that planet-building materials were scarce in these metal-poor regions.
Precisely. It suggests that the production and dispersal of dust materials occurred much more efficiently and through more diverse mechanisms, even in the most chemically primitive parts of the early universe.
Which means the pathways to forming terrestrial planets were potentially open everywhere, much earlier than we thought.
That's the implication.
And crucially, JWST also found polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, in dense pockets within Sextans A. This is huge. For the listener, what exactly are PAHs and why are they so vital for life?
So PAHs are large, complex, carbon-based molecules. You can basically think of them as sheets of carbon rings. They are vital because they are considered the fundamental building blocks of complex organic molecules.
The starter kit for biology.
The starter kit. They're ubiquitous in space and play a key role in the formation of new stars and planets. So the discovery of PAHs in low metallicity regions like Sextans A confirms that the necessary carbon-based chemistry for complexity was functional even in environments we previously considered chemically sparse.
The universe was seeding itself for complexity from the very beginning.
It seems so.
The building blocks of life were being distributed across the universe 4 million light years away. That's incredible. Now, let's bring it slightly closer to home, though still observing cosmic phenomena. The SETI Institute.
The search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Right. They've been focused on monitoring a specific pulsar, PSR J0332 plus 5434, for 10 months, observing its signal flickering.
Pulsars, as you know, are highly magnetized rotating neutron stars. They emit beams of radiation that sweep past Earth with incredible regularity, acting like cosmic lighthouses.
And they are prized for their precision. They often exceed the accuracy of atomic clocks.
They do.
So why is the flickering significant? Doesn't flickering suggest inaccuracy?
That's the interesting part. The flickering is actually caused by minuscule, measurable delays in the radio signal timing. These delays are primarily due to the relative motion of the pulsar itself, Earth, and crucially, the intervening interstellar gas cloud between us and the pulsar.
So understanding this subtle twinkling, a process called interstellar scattering, is key.
It's absolutely key, because if astronomers want to use pulsars as ultra-precise timing tools for navigation or to detect gravitational waves, they have to be able to factor out the noise caused by that interstellar medium.
So SETI's meticulous 10-month monitoring is essential for calibrating this timing precision.
It allows them to better distinguish subtle astrophysical or, potentially extraterrestrial signals from the predictable noise of interstellar plasma.
On a much closer cosmic scale, the Perseverance rover on Mars continues to deliver crucial evidence regarding the red planet's geological history in the Jezero crater.
And the rover captured these high-resolution images showing what are called megaripples formed in ancient lake sediments.
Now, this isn't the first evidence of water on Mars.
No, but the ripples provide definitive confirmation of the sustained presence of water and long-term geological activity that shaped Jezero millions of years ago. It gives scientists valuable physical data points to inform the search for signs of ancient Martian life embedded within those sediments.
And sometimes the most profound science comes from observing our own home.
A different perspective.
NASA astronaut Nicole Ayers captured a truly stunning image from the International Space Station, or ISS, of lightning illuminating clouds over Milan in Italy.
It's a beautiful image, but its scientific value is immense. Storm observation from the low Earth orbit of the ISS is crucial. Scientists use these visuals to study phenomena in the upper atmosphere, which helps to refine weather models.
And predicts severe storm formation.
Right, and improve protection for both commercial aircraft and communication systems from lightning strikes and other atmospheric disturbances.
So we've looked at 12-billion-year-old galaxies and the atmospheric science of our own planet. Now, let's talk about that bittersweet necessity of retiring historic infrastructure.
NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, is currently undertaking a large modernization initiative at the Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama.
And this initiative is leading to the planned demolition of 3 facilities that were truly foundational to America's space efforts.
We're talking about the Neutral Buoyancy Simulator, which was used from the 1960s all the way to 1997 for astronaut training in a simulated near-weightless environment.
And then there's the T-Tower.
The Propulsion and Structural Test Facility. Absolutely crucial for testing the massive Saturn launch vehicles and later components of the space shuttle.
And the Dynamic Test Facility, it must be tough to see that kind of heritage go.
It's a deep loss for historical preservationists, no doubt. But NASA's rationale is primarily economic and logistical. These aging structures have reached the end of their safe operational life, and the maintenance costs are just prohibitive.
So demolition is a necessary step.
It is. It reduces overhead and frees up resources for upgrading capabilities required for future missions, like the Artemis program.
So it's that constant tension, preserving the past versus investing aggressively in the future. What are they doing to ensure this history isn't just wiped away?
Well, NASA has committed to extensive historical preservation efforts. This includes exhaustive documentation, physical artifact removal where possible, and the creation of detailed digital models of the facilities before the demolition project concludes around 2026.
So the history will be preserved even if the physical structures themselves cannot be saved.
That's the goal.
Speaking of logistics for the future, NASA has solidified its contract for launch range operations.
Indeed. A major contract valued at $339.8 million was awarded to Ares Technical Services Corporation.
And this is for launch-range operations support at the Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia.
Right. This contract, which runs potentially through 2031, covers all that critical behind-the-scenes work: logistics, radar operations, telemetry, and communications for various flight vehicles.
So essentially, Ares will be running the air traffic control and communications centers for a significant chunk of America's rocket launches.
And their responsibility extends far beyond Wallops. The contract also covers support at remote, strategic sites, including the Bermuda Tracking Station and the Poker Flat Research Range in Alaska.
Ensuring that the critical infrastructure for tracking and communicating with aerospace missions remains robust across diverse geographic regions.
A necessary investment to support everything from the JWST to future Artemis missions.
Absolutely. Okay, let's pivot sharply now, moving from the cosmos back down to Earth and the highly charged, rapidly evolving geopolitical situation surrounding Venezuela.
This entire region has become a really complex theater of conflicting claims, economic maneuvers, and international pressure.
And the current Flashpoint centers on these massive and very disputed claims made by the Trump administration regarding Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.
Specifically, Donald Trump asserted the capture of Maduro by U.S. military forces.
Which is an enormous claim of strategic direct intervention.
Enormous claim, which was immediately and firmly countered by Venezuelan interim leader Delcy Rodriguez.
She asserted that no foreign agents are controlling the nation and that the Venezuelan government remains absolutely in charge.
So we are seeing a direct clash, a claim of strategic U.S. intervention versus a firm assertion of restored national sovereignty. The facts on the ground are very heavily disputed.
The claims also extended into the economic sphere.
They did. Trump also stated that Venezuela would transfer between 30 and 50 million barrels of sanctioned oil directly to the United States, with him controlling the proceeds.
Which aligns with the stated U.S. goals of easing domestic gas prices and strategically reducing reliance on oil from nations perceived as hostile.
Reports indicate that the U.S. administration has already held high-level meetings with major U.S. oil companies about easing restrictions and restoring the flow of Venezuelan crude oil to the global market.
So the alleged plan suggests revenues would be channeled into U.S.-controlled escrow accounts?
Right, ostensibly preventing them from reaching the Maduro regime directly, while still utilizing Venezuela's vast reserves.
Now, this complex strategy, it's often compared in diplomatic circles to a resurgence of the historical Monroe Doctrine.
A foreign policy that posits U.S. dominance over the Western Hemisphere.
And it comes with immense diplomatic costs and international backlash.
Indeed. The White House has demanded that Venezuela sever its economic ties with Russia, China, Iran, and Cuba in exchange for increased oil production relief. This is a very clear attempt to isolate Venezuela from its key international partners.
And the international community is reacting strongly.
China immediately criticized the U.S. demand, asserting that it blatantly infringes on Venezuela's sovereignty and violates fundamental principles of non-interference and mutual respect in international relations.
And Russia.
Russia views these U.S. actions as a strategic assertion of power by a rival. It's an attempt to undermine Russian influence globally. Some political analysts have characterized this intense layered pressure politics.
Using economic sanctions, diplomatic demands, and these highly visible, disputed military claims
as a form of modern hybrid warfare.
It's not just a binary confrontation, though. What's fascinating is the diplomatic intervention from the Middle East.
Qatar has expressed a willingness to act as a neutral bridge, offering to facilitate dialogue between the U.S. and Venezuela.
Which aligns with Qatar's established foreign policy goal of being a global mediator and peace broker.
Their involvement is a necessary safety valve, really, given the volatile rhetoric and the immediate economic reality facing the struggling Venezuelan oil industry.
And what is that economic reality? I mean, even if the sanctions were lifted tomorrow, U.S. oil companies require significant political and logistical assurances before returning.
Absolutely. Beyond the political risk, the physical infrastructure is just crumbling. The Venezuelan state oil company, PDVSA, has been severely underinvested for years.
So what's the price tag to fix it?
Estimates suggest that up to $20 billion in foreign investment is needed just to repair and modernize the facilities to restore production levels to previous capacities.
A $20 billion investment requirement. But let's connect this to the bigger picture that affects all of us, specifically the climate costs.
This is a crucial, often overlooked angle.
You mentioned that ramping up production would have severe environmental consequences.
It would. While Venezuela possesses the world's largest oil reserves, much of that oil is heavy crude. It's often referred to as extra heavy or sour crude.
And what makes heavy crude oil environmentally distinct from, say, light sweet crude?
Well, heavy crude is extremely viscous, and it contains higher concentrations of impurities like sulfur and heavy metals. Extracting and processing it requires significantly more energy.
And therefore higher greenhouse gas emissions.
For refining, transportation, and particularly for upgrading the oil. More critically, the process is notoriously prone to massive methane emissions through leakage, flaring, and venting throughout the production chain.
And methane is a greenhouse gas far more potent in the short term than carbon dioxide.
Much more potent. So, climate and economics experts are issuing a severe warning. The climate damages from rapidly increasing heavy crude production could severely outweigh any short-term economic benefits derived by easing gas prices or providing revenue to Venezuela.
So this geopolitical maneuver has an extremely high environmental price tag attached to it.
It creates a moral and economic paradox for every nation involved.
Shifting away from foreign policy, we are seeing major domestic political fallout in the U.S. centered on federal funding.
Specifically, the Trump administration's plan to halt $10 billion in federal funding designated for child care and health services.
And this is across 5 predominantly Democratic-led states: California, Colorado, Illinois, Minnesota, and New York.
Now, this freeze is being publicly framed as a response to widespread allegations of fraud within these federal programs. The Department of Health and Human Services, or HHS, specifically cited a controversial viral video made by right-wing YouTuber Nick Shirley.
And this video focused on alleged fraud in Somali-run childcare centers in Minnesota, claiming massive theft of federal funds.
The federal government's estimate of potential theft has risen significantly, which is fueling the justification for the funding freeze.
But Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has strongly criticized this action.
He has. He's arguing that the state has been proactive in combating fraud and that the cut is a politically motivated maneuver intended to defund essential social programs that disproportionately affect working families in Democratic states.
So this situation is highly polarized. Each side is accusing the other of leveraging the issue for political gain.
Whether through legitimate fraud concerns or strategic defunding, it's very much in the eye of the beholder.
And this dispute reflects the broader, ongoing political divisions that remain sharply evident around the anniversary of the January 6th Capitol attack.
5 years after the attack, the political polarization persists. The White House recently launched a controversial new website dedicated to the anniversary, which has drawn criticism from conservatives.
Pro-MEGGA pundit Scott Jennings, for instance, claimed the Biden administration is attempting to whitewash the event's historical narrative
And shift blame away from the rioters by focusing too heavily on police actions.
Meanwhile, Democrats continue to emphasize the enduring threat to democracy posed by the attack and the importance of holding those responsible accountable.
It demonstrates that historical interpretation itself has become a key battleground in contemporary U.S. politics.
And this polarization extends into the legal system and federal appointments.
We saw a federal judge ordering a Trump ally, attorney Lindsay Halligan, to explain why she is still serving as a U.S. attorney, given a prior ruling that deemed her appointment to the position unlawful.
Which highlights the continued legal scrutiny surrounding appointments made during the previous administration and these ongoing tensions regarding the politicization of the Justice Department.
Definitely.
Okay, let's briefly look at other regional security and alliance tensions that are shaping the global game board. India has officially taken the presidency of the BRICS bloc.
BRICS, for our listeners, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, an association of major emerging national economies.
And India's presidency is significant.
It is. They're expected to focus on enhancing cooperation, particularly on economic growth, and addressing global challenges like climate change and security within the bloc. This really reflects India's rapidly growing influence on the global stage as it tries to balance relations between Russia and the West.
Meanwhile, the ongoing criticism directed at the Organization of American States, the OAS, continues.
An activist openly challenged the OAS during a session, labeling it an imperial oil brand.
Which reflects long-standing, deep-seated criticism across Latin America that the OAS is often perceived as overly aligned with U.S. interests.
Particularly concerning political and economic actions taken in oil-rich nations, thereby potentially undermining national sovereignty.
Moving to Asia, tensions between China and Japan have escalated recently following controversial remarks made by Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi regarding Taiwan.
China reacted very strongly, banning the export of dual-use items, goods that have both civilian and potential military applications, to Japan.
And China views Takaichi's statements, which suggested Japan might intervene militarily if China attacked Taiwan, as unacceptable and aggressive.
Which has led to a significant trade and diplomatic freeze between the two powerful nations.
In the highly contested South China Sea, reports are highlighting a shift in tactics around the Second Thomas Show.
This is a crucial strategic development. We are seeing a deliberate tactical role being given to coast guards versus outright warships.
So using coast guards allows the involved parties, primarily China and the Philippines, to pursue administrative and maritime law resolutions rather than automatically escalating to military confrontations.
Exactly. This approach, while still very tense, shapes the future of the region by prioritizing less aggressive protocols and reducing the immediate risk of a full-scale naval conflict.
And finally, a brief note on Arctic ambition. The Trump administration's renewed interest in acquiring Greenland, framed as a geopolitical move for strategic resources.
The renewed proposal to purchase Greenland, which is an autonomous territory of Denmark, is being viewed with serious concern globally.
While framed by the U.S. as a bid for strategic access to rare earth metals and Arctic sea lanes,
it is straining relations with Denmark and NATO allies. Critics have labeled the move as reflecting outdated, colonialist attitudes rather than fostering genuine economic partnerships in a region that is rapidly becoming a new focal point for global competition due to climate change.
Truly a complex, volatile chessboard spanning from the heavy crude oil fields of Venezuela to the icy geopolitical ambitions in the Arctic.
It's a lot to keep an eye on.
For sure. Okay, let's zoom all the way back in, past the geopolitical game board, to the microscopic and cellular level, because scientists have just uncovered some truly fundamental and surprising things about how life on Earth actually runs.
And how it conserves energy.
We have a new thermodynamic framework that provides profound insight into what are being called the hidden cellular energy costs of living cells.
It's a revelation about the core efficiency of evolution itself.
So we've always understood that cells invest energy, ATP, to run chemical reactions to build proteins to move things around. That's the gas in the engine.
But that is only one part of the expenditure. This new framework reveals that cells must continuously invest energy not only in performing the necessary reactions, but in steering them.
Steering them?
They actively invest ATP to suppress unproductive, unwanted pathways or side reactions that would simply waste resources and detract from the cell's intended metabolic purpose.
So the energy isn't just the gas, it's the steering wheel and the active braking system, making sure the cell doesn't veer off course and waste precious resources.
That's a perfect analogy.
That makes perfect sense from an evolutionary perspective. Natural selection would favor the most resource-efficient cells.
Exactly. The concept is that energy optimization isn't just a byproduct of evolution, it's a core tenet. And this has massive implications for understanding fundamental processes like photosynthesis, showing how nature favored metabolic pathways that inherently minimize this wasted energy in order to survive.
Moving up the scale from the single cell to the entire organism, we have a breakthrough that sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
Scientists can now watch plants breathe in real time.
How does that even work?
They've developed a cutting-edge method that allows for the live, high-definition tracking of carbon dioxide and water vapor exchange between plants and the atmosphere. This is far beyond standard monitoring. It's high-precision, real-time visualization of cellular respiration and transpiration.
The applications for sustainable agriculture must be massive.
They're game-changing. The ability to monitor exactly how plants adapt to changing light, temperature, and moisture conditions in real time is invaluable for developing drought-resilient crops.
So farmers and geneticists can identify the most efficient strains and enhance agricultural productivity.
Which is critical given global population growth and climate instability. Plus, it refines our carbon cycle models.
Right. If we can accurately see how different plant species respond to varying atmospheric conditions, we can better inform carbon sequestration strategies globally.
Precisely. It allows us to treat flora not as passive carbon sinks, but as dynamic, actively regulated systems.
Our focus now shifts to the invisible yet ancient world of viruses, both marine and terrestrial. Starting in the ocean, researchers found 2 previously unknown viruses in Caribbean whales and orcas.
This discovery, made using advanced genetic sequencing, highlights the staggering uncharted complexity of marine viral dynamics. Marine viruses are overwhelmingly bacteriophages, viruses that infect bacteria, and they are essential key players in marine health.
They are critical to nutrient cycling, aren't they?
Yes, when they infect and lyse, or burst, bacteria, they release nutrients, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, back into the water column.
Which fuels the growth of other organisms, particularly phytoplankton.
The primary producers in marine ecosystems. Understanding this viral regulation is crucial for addressing the threats posed by climate change and pollution on ocean health.
So millions of tiny, invisible players are essentially regulating the ocean's food web. Now, let's look at ancient pathogens co-evolving with humans. Researchers made a groundbreaking finding of embedded ancient herpes viruses within human DNA.
Specifically, they found traces of human herpes virus 6, or HHV6, a very common virus that usually causes mild illness within Iron Age and medieval skeletal remains, dating back over 2,500 years.
Wait, our DNA contains viral artifacts that survived the Iron Age? How did they identify that?
They utilized advanced paleogenomics techniques, analyzing preserved DNA fragments from the skeletons. This demonstrates a specific process called endogenization, where certain viruses successfully integrated into our germline DNA.
Meaning they were passed down from generation to generation.
Exactly. This shows the coevolution of the human genome with pathogens over vast timescales.
That is truly a biological fossil record embedded in every single cell of our body. It shows how the viral ecosystem has constantly shaped our immune systems over millennia.
It adds a whole new layer to understanding evolutionary pressures and in the dynamic relationship between viruses and human hosts.
Shifting to modern medical innovation, there are promising developments in bone cancer treatment using magnetic nanoparticles.
This is an exciting blend of physics and medicine. The treatment involves injecting magnetic nanoparticles directly into the tumor site.
And then what?
When subjected to a rapidly oscillating external magnetic field, these particles heat up. This process, called localized hyperthermia, selectively targets and destroys cancerous cells while minimizing damage to surrounding healthy tissue.
And the innovation doesn't stop with just the heat therapy. The reports mention the nanoparticles are integrated with degradable scaffolds.
That's the regenerative aspect. After the tumor is surgically removed, these scaffolds, which are often made of biologically compatible materials like calcium phosphate, are left behind.
And they're coated with bioactive materials.
Materials that promote bone regeneration, significantly accelerating the recovery process from surgical interventions and providing structural support as the bone heals. It's a true synergy. Targeted therapy followed by assisted structural healing.
While innovation is soaring, we are facing an alarming public health crisis on a global scale, the cancer surge.
And the numbers we are seeing are truly sobering.
They are a severe global warning. The statistics for 2023 alone show over 18.5 million new cancer diagnoses and 10.4 million deaths globally.
And even more alarming, projections show that without decisive interventions, new cases could exceed 30 million annually by 2050.
And the demographic shift is shocking. A dramatic 79% increase in cancer cases among individuals under the age of 50 between 1990 and 2019.
This suggests something fundamental has changed in the environment or our lifestyle choices.
Researchers are now investigating tumor samples dating back a century to understand the biological and environmental factors driving this rise in younger populations.
Looking for clues about genetic mutations and long-term exposure changes. We already know that nearly 40% of cases are linked to preventable risk factors.
Tobacco use, poor diet, obesity.
Right. This just underscores the urgent global need for enhanced screening and prevention programs, particularly in low- and middle-income countries where resources are so scarce.
Speaking of public health policy, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, recently announced a unilateral overhaul of the childhood vaccine schedule that has proven highly controversial.
This decision, reportedly driven by a presidential memorandum aimed at rapidly updating recommendations, has caused significant internal friction. CDC staff were described as being blindsided.
And the overhaul includes the removal of certain vaccines from the standard recommended list, which has alarmed pediatricians.
It has.
Why are pediatricians so alarmed by this specific change beyond the lack of transparency?
Well, their concern stems from the potential erosion of population immunity. They argue that the removed vaccines, while perhaps targeting less common strains or conditions, still provide crucial layers of protection against circulating diseases.
And they worry that deviating from established, globally accepted immunization protocols could set the U.S. back in terms of disease control.
and, critically, provides significant momentum and talking points for vaccine skeptic movements, further complicating public health efforts.
That's a massive public health communication crisis, a significant internal policy shift meeting external skepticism and political leverage.
On a positive note, though, there are significant screening advancements aimed at improving accessibility and comfort.
New federal guidelines are now allowing for self-swab human papillomavirus, or HPV, tests that can be performed at home.
This is a huge step forward for patient comfort. It offers a much less invasive alternative to traditional pap smears.
Aiming to expand cervical cancer screening access, which is crucial for early detection and prevention, especially for individuals who might face barriers to regular clinic visits.
Definitely. Finally, let's talk about a drug we thought we understood. Common ADHD medications.
Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Right. New research has surprised many by shifting our understanding of how these stimulants actually work in the brain.
We've always believed that stimulants like Adderall or Ritalin directly enhanced attention capabilities in individuals with ADHD.
But the new research suggests a far more nuanced picture. The findings indicate that these stimulants do not primarily enhance attention per se.
They don't make the brain better at focusing.
No. But rather they significantly affect brain areas associated with reward, motivation, and wakefulness.
So they don't improve the ability to focus, they improve the will or the desire to focus.
Exactly. They help manage symptoms by increasing dopamine levels, making tedious or difficult tasks feel more rewarding and accessible, and keeping individuals alert and energized, thereby facilitating focused behavior.
That's a fundamental shift in understanding.
It calls for a critical reevaluation of treatment protocols and emphasizes the need for highly personalized therapeutic approaches that combine these drugs with behavioral strategies aimed at harnessing motivation.
And on a simpler, actionable note regarding adolescent health, a simple behavior change has been linked to profound mental health benefits.
Yes. Allowing teenagers to sleep in on weekends significantly lowers their risk of depression. It highlights the critical role of sleep recovery in adolescent mental health and development.
Providing a simple, natural antidote to the intense pressures of modern academic and social life.
Sometimes the simplest advice is the best.
It seems so. Okay, let's talk about the ground beneath our feet and the ongoing quest to predict the unpredictable earthquakes.
In the realm of earth science, there's been a tremendous technological leap in forecasting capabilities.
Scientists have introduced a novel mathematical approach, a simple math trick, as it was described.
A trick that allows for seismic simulations to accelerate by a staggering factor of 1,000 times.
1,000 times. Now, accelerating simulation time by 3 orders of magnitude doesn't mean we can predict the precise moment the next quake will hit.
No, not yet. And experts remain very cautious that accurate prediction is still probabilistic, not definitive. But this mathematical acceleration fundamentally transforms two key capabilities: risk assessment and urban planning. It allows cities and engineers to model the geological structures and seismic forces beneath the surface much more effectively.
So they can simulate hundreds of different potential scenarios in the time it used to take to model just one.
Which allows for hyperlocal resilience strategies, moving from generalized preparedness to site-specific infrastructure reinforcement. You can analyze how specific structures, like bridges or high-rise buildings, would perform under various shaking intensities from different fault lines.
And complementing this mathematical leap is the increasing role of artificial intelligence and machine learning,
which are being used to analyze massive seismic data sets. We saw a successful application of machine learning techniques being cited in China for predicting certain low-level seismic events.
So what is the AI doing that traditional seismology wasn't?
AI is adept at spotting subtle, often nonlinear patterns in seismic activity, minute changes in ground deformation, fluid movement, or foreshock frequency that are just too complex or voluminous for human geologists to process efficiently.
So while the ultimate forecast remains probabilistic, the technological tools are getting exponentially better at understanding the underlying seismic patterns and probabilities. And the seismic threat remains constant, reminding us of the fragility of living on the Pacific Ring of Fire. We recently saw a 6.2 magnitude earthquake detected in Japan's Chigoku region.
And a 5.8 magnitude quake in the Philippines.
Both were significant, but fortunately, neither triggered tsunami warnings.
These events just underscore the constant, low-level tectonic stress and activity that populations in these regions must live with and plan for.
And beyond geological tremors, the climate continues to drive severe natural disasters globally.
Argentina is currently grappling with a severe wildfire crisis across 16 provinces, forcing the declaration of a state of emergency.
Fueled by prolonged drought, high temperatures, and adverse wind conditions.
These fires have overwhelmed provincial resources. They raise serious alarms about the long-term impact on biodiversity, agriculture, and the acceleration of regional climate change effects.
And at the same time, extreme flooding has submerged cities and villages in Kosovo, driven by unusual weather patterns and heavy, sustained rainfall.
These concurrent events, drought, fire, flood, highlight the increasing frequency and severity of climate-related disasters that tax emergency services and infrastructure across continents, demanding immediate cross-border preparedness.
And even predictable winter weather can bring modern infrastructure to a standstill, as we just saw in Europe.
Heavy snowfall recently paralyzed travel in the Paris region of France. We saw roughly 100 flight cancellations at Charles de Gaulle Airport and the halting of bus and Eurostar services.
It shows how dependent modern, just-in-time infrastructure is on maintaining ideal operating conditions.
And how quickly large-scale travel can seize up under adverse conditions.
These natural threats are constantly juxtaposed against critical failures in public safety caused by human error and regulatory lapse.
Like the devastating New Year's Eve bar fire in Crans-Montana, Switzerland.
Which tragically killed 40 people and injured 116. The outrage surrounding this event is immense.
And for good reason.
Why such intense outrage?
Because it was preventable. The bar had not been inspected for fire safety compliance for years, despite regulations requiring regular checks.
So this tragedy serves as a devastating example of regulatory failure within the Swiss hospitality sector.
It underscores the critical, life-saving role that robust and regular safety inspections play in preventing mass disasters. It's a systemic failure where bureaucratic inertia costs lives.
On a separate but equally critical note regarding public safety protocols, we saw a profound breach by the South Yorkshire Police in the UK.
They mistakenly informed the wrong family that their teenage son had died following a severe car crash.
That is an error of catastrophic proportion in terms of communication protocols, an error that caused unimaginable, unnecessary emotional distress to the family who received that erroneous news.
The police force issued a profound apology and committed to an immediate, comprehensive review of their communication protocols. They're emphasizing the critical need for painstaking accuracy and genuine empathy when dealing with such sensitive, life-altering circumstances.
And this incident ties into a broader effort for road safety reforms in the UK. The government is proposing new mandatory regulations.
The proposed changes include mandatory regular eye tests for older drivers, an attempt to balance road safety with the autonomy of the elderly,
and lowering the legal drink drive limit.
This is specifically aimed at curbing accidents involving inexperienced motorists. The science clearly indicates that even small amounts of alcohol impair judgment and reaction time, particularly in drivers with less experience.
So stricter standards are being pushed as a necessary measure to protect all road users and minimize preventable fatalities.
That's the argument.
On a darker note regarding public safety in the digital world, we saw a legal failure and accountability with the jailing of Miles Cross.
Cross was jailed for selling highly toxic chemicals online via a specialized forum to individuals intending to commit suicide.
This case just raises profound legal and ethical questions about the responsibility of online platforms in monitoring and controlling the sale of legal substances.
It highlights a serious gap in our regulatory framework concerning digital marketplaces and public health. It forces society to grapple with how we ensure digital commerce does not become an easy avenue for self-harm.
And underscores the urgent societal need for mental health support interventions and proactive monitoring to prevent such tragic incidents.
A very difficult situation.
Finally, we'll wrap up with a look into the deep past, thanks to archaeology, confirming the long history of our coevolution with the natural world.
A truly comprehensive global analysis of 96 ancient dog skulls revealed that domesticated dogs began diversifying dramatically in size and shape over 11,000 years ago.
11,000 years. This means our first animal companions were adapting to various roles, hunting, herding, companionship within human communities, long before the agricultural revolution was even fully underway.
It confirms a deep mutual history. And in Britain, archaeologists made an extraordinarily rare discovery.
An Iron Age war trumpet, likely used for signaling in command, and a boar standard.
And the boar standard would have been a potent symbol of power or tribal identity, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. These artifacts provide tangible, powerful insights into ancient warfare, cultural identity, and the technology available in Iron Age Britain.
Reminding us that even the most advanced modern technologies like AI and rocket science are built upon a deep, continuous foundation of human innovation and, yes, human conflict.
Okay, that was a truly expansive deep dive, navigating from the $20 billion capital explosion in the AI sector to the 12.6 billion-year-old origins of astronomy's platypus, and all the way back down to the inner workings of our cells.
The core tension running through all these reports is just undeniable.
It is.
The dizzying speed of technological and scientific progress, whether it's the Panther Lake chips, El Marina hitting unicorn status, or the JWST redefining early galaxy formation, it's constantly running up against the inertia of political conflict, regulatory lag, and deeply rooted human failures.
The systems we rely on, whether they are bureaucratic regulatory bodies in Switzerland that failed to inspect a bar, or the communication protocols of UK police forces, are demonstrably struggling to maintain the speed and efficiency demanded by modern high-stakes life.
But amid that struggle, we continue to find truly profound moments of scientific insight.
And the most memorable nugget for me, the one that fundamentally changes my understanding of a common health treatment, is that surprising research finding about ADHD medication.
What's a big one?
It doesn't actually enhance attention. It works by boosting reward, motivation, and wakefulness. It changes the will to focus, not the ability.
It essentially makes the boring tasks slightly less boring.
Exactly. And that's a powerful distinction for millions of people.
It is a critical shift in understanding neurological mechanisms and optimizing personalized treatment. And if we connect this to the cellular level, remember that finding that cells actively invest energy to steer their chemical reactions and suppress unproductive pathways.
Right.
It turns out efficiency is the truest driver of life.
A profound thought. So we've covered the ground, the stars, the inner workings of the cell, and the global political chessboard. Here is the final provocative thought for you to mull over.
Lay it on us.
We saw in segment 5 that a new mathematical trick can accelerate earthquake simulation by a staggering 1,000 times, offering us an exponential improvement in understanding the chaotic, complex forces of the Earth's shifting crust. Yet when we turned to the world of geopolitical power, we were still locked in patterns of the 19th century, debating the merits and costs of a Monroe Doctrine 2.0.
That's a stark contrast.
If we can achieve that exponential acceleration in our scientific understanding of nature, what might it truly take to accelerate our political, diplomatic, and ethical solutions to match the pace of change we now live in?
That is a question that demands a deep dive all its own.
Indeed. Until next time, stay curious, keep connecting those dots, and keep striving for that cellular level of efficiency.
You're enjoying Artificially Informed.
Hit subscribe and share it with a friend.
From the left, the right, and straight from the algorithm.
Thank you.
That's it for today's Artificially Informed.
Nope. Thanks for spending your time with us.
Yeah.
Stay sharp, stay curious. See you next time.